that the Japanese are the custodians of their civilization and have been for basically millennia at this point, and so they feel that responsibility for it in a way that you just simply don't see. Just
this is what they took from you.
Yeah, it's what I was trying to say before. You have the high trust society naturally.
Yeah.
Once that goes, it's incredibly hard to have. And once
今回はおなじみポッドキャストロータスイーターズからルカ、ステリオス、ニックのトリオが登場。米左派インフルエンサーブライアン・クラッセンシュタインが日本滞在で感じた米国の遅れについての一連の投稿に対し、彼らは本質的な問題、特に移民問題や民族文化の言及を都合よく避けている点に鋭く切り込みます。そこから日本の治安や清潔さ、そして高い社会的信頼を生み出す文化的背景にまで話題が広がり、歴史や精神、さらには現在の日本の保守の潮流と英国の移民政策の失敗を比較しながら深く掘り下げていきます。それでは早速見ていきましょう。翻訳世界の視点から。
I wanted to go through Krasenstein's here because it's a perfect contradiction. It's a perfect contradiction. So he goes through and he just says, I just returned from 2 weeks in Japan, and I have to be honest, it really opened my eyes to how far behind the United States is falling in so many basic ways. Some things that stood out. In 2 weeks across some of Japan's most densely populated cities, I saw only 2 visibly homeless people. I saw 1 person who appeared to be struggling with addiction. High-speed rail made affordable, clean, efficient transportation the norm, not a fantasy. I never once felt unsafe letting my kids walk freely beside me in public. Despite having far fewer public trash cans, Japan's streets had a fraction of the litter. The country's reduced income inequality was visible everywhere, from housing to public services, and I already know what some far-right folks will say. It's because Japan has low immigration, or it's not run by Democrats. But those are lazy excuses and distractions from the real issues. The truth, we've normalized dysfunction in the United States, and we make excuses for it instead of demanding better.
Yeah, but you see how he has already... I think he... Right, so I'm trying to understand what he and his brother are going on about, generally speaking. And I think that...
You'll never win.
Maybe. But if you scroll up a bit, you see essentially he has put forward the alternative explanation of the left, which is, according to him, reduced income inequality.
Mm-hmm.
So for the left, it can only be an issue of money, not culture. So every time you see any kind of problem coming from the left or from the people the left is supposed to defend, their knee-jerk reaction is, we need to raise your taxes. Is there more crime in, let's say, migrant communities? Yes, they may accept it, but the remedy is to raise taxes in order to give more money to them.
It's always blame the rich.
But even if, and I agree with you, Stelios, but even if, say, for argument's sake, that his economic presuppositions about inequality driving crime were correct, say that they were, does it not also follow that, well, can you not address income inequality and also not import millions and millions of people every year?
Good idea.
Right?
Yeah, the issue is, though, that it's one thing to say that income inequality is a factor, and quite another to eventually treat it as the one and only factor.
Yes, which he...
They may not say this explicitly, but generally speaking, this is the pattern, the way they go about it.
Absolutely.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, please.
He's only even saying this caveat because it'll have been savaged so many times on Twitter.
Just getting mocked.
Because he's saying, I know they'll say that. Because the left they're not even aware of these arguments. Now they've become aware because they're on X and it's been taken over. So he's going, I know you'll say it's because of immigration. By the way, 2 visibly homeless people in Japan is a cause for great shame. Someone had to probably do ritual suicide and disembowel themselves out of pure shame. You know what I mean? Even the 2 in Japan is like, the streets are not safe.
So dishonorable.
But he's completely wrong, because Dr. Paul Morland has talked about this. Japan, have you heard him talk about the trilemma? He says that when you've got low birth rates, there's 3 options. He talks about he says countries choose from two of these three, but they can't have all three. So you've got economic growth, you've got ethnocentrism, and you've got what he calls egotism, which is just conveniently to have another E, meaning not having children and pursuing your own life. So he says you can choose 2 out of 3, and he points out Japan chose ethnocentrism and egotism, as in not having children, so they've lost some of the economic growth. That was his case. Whereas like Israel has got the ethnocentrism, so they have a high birth rate, and they've got the economic growth. They haven't got the egotism of not having children. So we've chosen in this country economic growth and the egotism of not having children, but we lost. He's calling it the ethno.
And we didn't even get the economic growth.
We didn't in the end even get it, so you're going to only get one of them.
But also notice how the word culture doesn't feature in this post.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because he talks about there being no fraction of a litter, and one of the main features of Japanese culture is cleanliness. They tend to think of public spaces as their own spaces, rather than just trash cans.
Right. And what's more as well, the fact was that they used to have rubbish bins all over the place, but they were taken away.
This is what they took from you.
Look at what they took. Look at what they took from us.
I suppose the other way you can do it is just authoritarianism. Singapore, may have said it before, but Lee Kuan Yew looked at England and he says, wow, this is an incredible high trust society. People paying for papers and leaving in the right amount, whatever, and not taking all these things. And he just looked at it and said, we can never have that in Singapore, but the only way we can try and achieve it is just with authoritarianism, which is basically what he did, to try and, because he had this multicultural setup of Indian, Malay, and Chinese.
Yeah, but Japan is considered very high trust.
I know,
yeah.
But the only other way to achieve this is in a multicultural society is with authoritarianism, is what I'm saying. And then you might end up with a similar level to Japan, but they've achieved it through high trust, like you say.
And again, we just seem to lose out because we have the multiculturalism now. We're definitely getting the authoritarianism, and we still don't have any of the perks of what it's all about. So you have here. Let's go through some of Brian's views on things, shall we? I support legal immigration because it strengthens our country and ensures a fair process for those who want to contribute to America. I oppose illegal immigration because a nation without borders is a nation without laws. We'll come back to that in a minute. I'm against tearing families apart for those who have been here over 3 years. Right, so he's not against that one. Right? Again, already contradicting himself. Well, no, if you've been here for 3 years, then you're, not illegal anymore?
Tom Homan always said, just send the family back as well.
Yeah,
Done.
Based. Yeah. Advocate for massively increasing the funding to expedite the immigration process. I believe in securing the border responsibly, whilst ensuring compassion for these fleeing the danger. The thing is, right, when you look at Japan, if Japan entirely governed itself by principles of compassion, they would have far more Kurds in the country right now. And with 3,000 Kurds in Tokyo, they're already causing enormous problems for the local people. And you can see Josh and Bo were just covering the other day, talking about the fact that how quickly this new party in Japan, this Sansito party, has been able to get itself up and running based on the fact that people just don't want this, right? They don't want it, and they're voting on this single issue to just nip it in the bud right now. And this is something that people like Brian will never wish to address and never get hold of. He can duck the immigration thing all he wants, but the fact of the matter is that the Japanese are the custodians of their civilization and have been for basically millennia at this point, and so they feel that responsibility for it in a way that you just simply don't see. Just to come back to something a little more, well, not trivial, but like the situation of all the rubbish in the streets, right? It is the Japanese people don't need the state to intervene in order for them to understand the importance of a clean street, right? And just living in a clean society, a clean city, clear village, wherever it may be, in a way that the people currently squatting in Birmingham, right, just don't appreciate and don't understand. Oh, the bins haven't come to be collected, so I'm just going to allow myself to continue living in squalor and filth, right? Like, you and I would have the initiative to just do what we can to make sure our plot of land, or our house, looks presentable from the front. You know, all those old British Pather videos, you know, just women out sweeping their doorsteps every morning and all that just like quaint stuff. Like, those days are gone. But,
yeah, it's what I was trying to say before. You have the high trust society naturally.
Yeah.
And once that goes, it's incredibly hard to have. And once it goes, like Lee Kuan Yew couldn't believe that we had it. And once it goes, you only get it artificially with authoritarianism.
Physical and spiritual cleanliness are interlinked in Japanese culture. The philosophy parallels the broken window theory of crime, which suggests that minor signs of disorder like broken windows or graffiti subtly degrade respect for the law, encouraging more serious criminality. And similarly, Japan's meticulous cleanliness functions as an unspoken deterrent to misbehavior, reinforcing a high standard of order that infuses the entire society. And again, this is something that we used to have, you know, to come back to what I was saying earlier. But I do think also it is... I don't want to speak as if I think that just because we've lost these things, we can't reclaim them again, right? I do think with time and patience and education and just moral standards that we can actually return to those things. But it won't be with the current demographic state.
No, and Japan is even more like this, and they talk about meticulous cleanliness. I mean, they have those toilets that shoot out a little jet of water. Have you seen those? And they play music. I mean, Japan takes it to the next level. I was watching that thinking, I'm so much like the Japanese. Like, you got to respect the Japanese, right? The cleanliness, the neatness, the nice architecture. It's all great stuff.
欧米よりも軽い症状の中、日本で保守ムーブメントが起こっている背景など、第三者的な視点として膝を打つ内容が多かったですね。守り受け継いできた文化や歴史、精神性は日本の価値を語る上で避けては語れないということを代弁してくれたように感じました。今回は保守視点からの意見だけだったので、紹介された左派インフルエンサーの回答も聞いてみたいところですね。英国から海を越え、日本人は自らの文明の守護者であり、それは何千年も続いている。だからこそ彼らは自国の文明を守る責任をどこの国より特別強く意識しているという熱いエールを皆さんはどう感じましたか？ぜひコメントであなたの意見を聞かせてください。いいねとチャンネル登録もよろしくお願いします。